Hello, good afternoon, welcome along. Today is Sunday the 11th of July 2021 and this is Make Movement Your Mission. It's our 4pm sway and stretch. So it's our opportunity to get those three-dimensional movements into our day, to focus on how the body moves in more than one plane, how we do lots of things, how we multitask. And hey, you know, guys, we very rarely multitask, or we don't think we do. Bear with me one sec. Gonna grab me water. So, if you're on catch up and this is the one that you want, then please do stick around. Drop us a little comment in, let us know you've been in. I'm just back, excuse me for seeming a little bit breathless, I'm just back from my daughter's. We've been to my daughter's for a spot of lunch, decided we'd walk. And a very, very brisk walk back to get back in time to be here with you. So literally just walked through the door, popped my camera in, rushed upstairs, changed, grabbed a drink of water. Oh, that's lovely. Right, so if you're on catch up, welcome. Whatever time of day it is, wherever you are, pop us a little comment in, let us know you've been in. It's always good to know that we've spent time together, no matter how brief that has been. If you are not at the one you want, then of course they're all on our Facebook group. All you got to do is go find them, and the easiest way is that photos tab, or if you're on a laptop or a desktop, it's media and then photos or videos, sorry, within there, and that will give you everything that's been done in the most recent order first. So that's the easiest way to find it. Right, I'm going to pop across and I'm going to start saying hello to our live as they come on board. So, Maddie, good afternoon to you. Welcome aboard, welcome along. Good to have you with us. How the devil are you doing? Hope you've had a good day. How's the piano playing coming on? Mine's sort of ground to a halt, I'm afraid. I really need to get focused in on it again. Busy few weeks. Busy month or so, really, with things that have been going on. But hopefully back in the game now with a bit of free time, so I can start to brush up on me old ivory tinkling skills, shall we say. Kels, good afternoon to you. You trying to tell me something? 2 England flags, not quite sure what the thing after it is, and then 2 balls. What's the little red thing, Kels, behind your flags? Margaret, good afternoon to you. And Stat Mates, need a stretch, been sitting watching the tennis. Yeah, I've watched a bit of the tennis and then I had to go and put some stuff in my daughter and son-in-law's loft for them. Walked back, so I'm going to do this and I'm going to grab the tennis again quickly and find out what's going on. In fact, it's on at the moment, so I might be able to rewind it and have a look. I'm just checking the TV was on and the Skybox is on, so yeah, we can have a little rewind, I think. So hopefully, I did see that he'd lost the first set. Djokovic, thought it was a goner. No way was Bertolini going to come back from that, where he was in that first set, and he just hammered away, didn't he? And then he ended up winning the set. Amazing. Sandra, good afternoon to you. Good to be live with you. It's good to have you with us as well. And Rita, good afternoon to you. Welcome along. Great to have you with us. Great to see all of you here with us today on this Sunday. Big day sporting wise, tennis, and then we've got the football a little bit later on. I'm guessing we've got a few people who will be supporting England, but we'll guess we might have a few people who'll be supporting Italy as well. You know, my take on it was, Djokovic has had lots of victories. Italy can win this one this afternoon, and then we'll win the football later on. That would be good, wouldn't it? That would be amazing. Ken, good afternoon to you. Great to have you in with us. There's a minor football match on tonight. I'm not sure who's playing. No, I'd heard something about a football match. My son-in-law is working tonight. He's on shift tonight, and he's a local noise enforcement officer in the council in Coventry. So I think he's going to have a fun night tonight. But I think, he might be telling a few people, come on, guys, get a life. It's one night. It's the football. Everybody's joyous. If it's not a regular thing, don't be complaining. Just let them have a bit of noise. I don't know, perhaps I'm wrong. Vivian Dixon, good afternoon to you and everyone. Be gardening and just come in for a cuppa. Catch up on the tennis and a sway and stretch. Neil in from Cambridge, good afternoon to you. Great predictions, let's hope so. I don't know. We'll see how they go. Hey, Gillian Matthews, good afternoon to you and everyone from a wet Port Talbot. Been watching the tennis too. It's a strange day here. It's really hot one minute. Beautiful blue skies. It's really hot and muggy the next minute. It's cold the minute after that. So it's all over the place. I think my wife's got changed about 3 times today. You know, she said, oh, it's a bit chilly. I'll go and get changed. So it's got changed. And then by the time she's back down, it's gone warm again. Hey, it's the way it is, isn't it? Listen, we are at 4 o'clock. So if you want to lose the comments off the bottom of the screen, you swipe them to the right, unless you're on a desktop or a laptop, in which case you just ignore them. They're in the bottom corner. They're gone. Should we have a 3, 2, 1? Good afternoon, everybody. You're with Dave Montgomery from Later Life Trading. Today is Sunday, the 11th of July, 2021, and this is our 4 p.m. snack. Our 4 p.m. sway and stretch, where we can unwind a bit for the day. We can add those extra minutes into our day as well, but we can do a bit of relaxation, we can do a bit of unwinding, and we can get ourselves set for the evening. I think it's going to be a bit of a tense evening for some people. I don't know why. Should we get ourselves going? Come on then. We can be in a seated or we can be in a standing position. The choice is yours. Just make sure we've got a clear space. There's nothing that can get in our way. I've got my fixed external support, so as always I've got my fireplace and I've got my wall. A good sturdy chair for anybody who's in a seated position. And as I say, make sure we've got a clear space around you. Now, if this is new to you, if we, you know, as we put the things together, if you want to have a look at it firstly and then decide if you want to do it even, or how you want to do it. You know, you might not want to progress it on to the next stage. You might want to stay where you are, where you're happy. You might want to decide, oh yes, I'll have a go at it, but I'm going to do some support with that, or I might want to do it in a seated. Those are the things that we do. So the great thing is, this is available straight away on Facebook afterwards. It takes about a minute to upload, a couple of minutes at the most. So what you could do is say, okay, I'm going to have a look at it and then I'm going to do it straight afterwards. Yeah, that's one of the things you've got to do. Okay, now, if you're new to us or you haven't been with us for a while, remember, work at your own pace, work at what you feel comfortable with. In our standing position, we've got our heels in line with our knees and in line with our hips. We're lifting and lengthening out from our hips to grow that little bit taller, bringing those shoulders up, back and down. So we open this chest, we open the chest cavity, get more air into there. In our seated position, then the first thing we're going to do is bring ourselves off the back of the chest. Sitting a little bit taller, we've then got a lift and a shift to bring ourselves into the front third of the chair. Now here, we're lining everything up again. We've got the shoulders up, back and pressed down, so we're sitting tall. And we can start with our circulation boosting. Now remember, our circulation boosting is all about getting some regular movements happening that start to challenge us cardiovascular-wise a little bit more. And what I mean by that is that it starts to get that blood pumping, starts to get the heart bumping a little bit faster, starts to get us breathing a little bit heavier, but it's certainly not like a huff and a puff type situation. We shouldn't feel the heart pounding. It's about these general regular movements, and then we make them a little bit bigger to try and increase that intensity a little bit more. So from our heel lift, we can bring it into a march. However, in seated, if you feel fatigue into your hip flexors, you can stay with the heel raises. Again, it's what is right for you. Or you might want to take a little bit of a toe tap out in front. So you've got a different movement, but we're not challenging the hip flexors quite as much. Now in standing, we can see that we can start to point the toes down, so we get a bit of mobility back into those ankles as well. And if you're using the support to the side of you, or it might be in front, as long as you've got room for your knees. You might hear the blinds flapping away. I've got the window open at the front, I've got the patio open at the back, getting this breeze through because it's gone very humid here at the moment. Now, let's put an arm in as well. So we drive this arm backwards with our elbow doing the driving. And what I mean by that is the elbow is the driving force. We're not just allowing that arm to swing. Keep it around about 90 degrees. Doesn't have to be exact, but so that we've got the movement happening at the shoulder, but driven from the elbow. Change hands, and if your support is in front of you, you can see that you can quite easily change hands by placing the one down before you take the other off. However, if your support is to the side of you, we're going to need to bring it to a pause. Take as many steps as we need to turn into our support, and then away we go on the other side. From there, seated, standing, if you feel steady, stable and coordinated, then we can bring both arms in at the same time as both legs. So movements wise, each of the individual movements, excuse me a second, excuse me, isn't any bigger, but the movement as a whole is bigger because we've got more of the body moving. Now we do about 2 minutes to about 3 at the most of this, and then we're going to quieten it down a little bit, bring it down a little bit slower, bring it to a pause, at which point we should feel as though we want to take a couple of deep breaths. Okay, Let's move into our sway. So it's been feline based this week. We've had the old ear, behind the ear washing. We've had the stretch. We've had the back stretch as well, yeah? And today we're going to end up in a cat's favourite position. So, let's have a look at it. We've got a good base of support in standing. Heels are outside of our hips in line with our shoulders. We're lifted and lengthened up through the top of the body. Controlled movements with our arms. And we can sink this in with our breathing if we want to. So breathing in and out. And have a look at the movement here. We allow that movement to happen within the elbow, but also within the wrist and around the shoulder. Changing to the other hand again. So breathing in and out. But the key thing to say here is don't focus too much on that breathing. If you're not breathing in as you're coming up and breathing out as you go down, it doesn't really matter. The important thing is that you breathe, okay? So don't get too concerned about that. But make this a flowing movement and try and get to your best range of motion. So if it's here for you, that is where you go, yeah? If you can come a little bit higher, that is where you go. But that's our first movement. That turning out and across the body, allowing that movement to happen within your elbow, within your shoulder, and within your wrist. Controlled movements all the time. Now we've added into that, after two of these, a stretch type movement where we bring the hands forward and we extend away, opening those fingers. That's what it looks like from the front. From the side, have a look at the shoulders. Rather than just a raise and a lower, I'm actually bringing the shoulders forward. So we start to roll those shoulders out. So we're getting a bit of a stretch across the top of the back, and I'm displaying the fingers. Then as I come back in, I bring it back down. So what we added yesterday, or what we took it to yesterday, we've got these two on one side, and then we've got that stretch on the other side before we take it to the other side of our body. Now it's exactly the same in our seated position with these two rotations at the level that we feel comfortable with. And then as we take those hands forward, we've got that roll out at the back, the splay of the fingers, and then the drive back in, and the change to the side. Now, if you're using support and you're going to keep your legs still, you can have your support in front of you and allow this movement to happen, and then you can change from side to side. Remember, obviously you're only going to be able to take one hand up for that stretch and back down before you change. However, if it is to the side of you, then as we did in our circulation boosting there, our initial bit, we need to come to a pause. We need to take as many steps as we need to turn to face the other way. So it might be that you want to do it a couple of times on one side before you take those steps to turn. Get yourself into position, and then away you go on the other side. Now, we added leg movements into it as well. So now we've got this rotation around here, and this rotation around again. And then we stepped forward as we took that movement out in front with the splayed fingers and stepped back in as we brought the hands down. Now we're going to add a step back into it as well. And what I want to do, change this from yesterday to where we took it forward and step back in. We're going to have a change of foot. So we're going to take it back on the other foot and come backwards with those hands. We're just taking the hands behind us and opening the chest. So as we open the upper back, we open the chest as well. And have a look at that foot placement as we go back. Toe down through to the heel. It's not a huge movement, so we're not taking a big stride back, just enough to allow us to shift that weight. So we get about a 60-40 split of weight. So about 60 of it on the back, 40 on the front. We're not taking all that weight onto that back leg. Okay? So if we put those all together, we have the movement of forward and backwards. So in a seated position, what we're going to do is the forward motion, it's the heel toe, and then we put a hinge at the hip in as we come forward to shift that weight forward, bringing it back down and stepping back in. Now for the leg going backwards, we come up onto our toe with the opposite leg and back in. Yeah? So there are our options. Let's have a look at it all together up to there. So we've got this rotation around. We've got this rotation around. We've got the step forward as we reach. And then we bring it back in, resetting the foot and stepping back on the other foot to take it back. Coming in, resetting to our normal stance position, and away we go on the other side with that rotation around and around. Stepping forward on that reach, splay fingers, close them, and then step back on your other foot, shifting that weight and bringing it back in. There is one last movement for us to add on, and this is the finale of our movement. So whichever leg has stepped forward first, that hand is going to do the finishing move. And the finishing move from stepping back in from here and coming back in is to bring that hand up and across and onto the side of our head. Yeah? So sleepy time. Yeah? So we bring it around, hand flat into the side, and then try and bring our head down on towards that hand, but not resting it totally on it, just bringing it towards it. So we have our step forward, our come back in, our step back, and the leg that went forward is going to be that hand that then comes around the body, across, and in here. We return it down across the body sideways to start on the other side. Yeah? So let's put it all together. Both seated and standing, it's exactly the same. In the seated position, that movement comes across the body. You rest, you come back in, and you bring the hand down across the body. Now there is an ideal opportunity again for you there, look, to go from here to that rotation through that wrist to bring it back down and open. So again, you've got here that rotation there, bringing it back down and then rotating it back so that the palm faces away behind you. So let's try it. Good base of support to work from. Shoulders up, back and down. One hand, breathing in and out. Lovely. Here's that step forward, heel toe as you bring it forward and splay those fingers. Stepping back in as you're bringing the hand back in, toe heel, and then stepping back on the other foot, toe heel. Just shift that weight 60-40 onto the back leg. Bringing it back in, toe heel. This hand comes around and across. Pause there, rotate it round and back down. And away we go on our other side with that rotation around, sinking it in with your breathing if you feel comfortable, stepping forward, bringing it back in, stepping back, taking the hands back, bringing it in, hand coming across the body and around to reset there, turn the hand in and back. One more time with the wash behind the ears. We can put a little head turn in there if we want to, look. And then the step forward to that big stretch into the toes, bringing it back in, pushing back to stretch out the back legs, coming in, and we're ready for our cat nap here. We're rotating it back down. Say, hang on, you know what? I haven't washed behind my ears on the other side. So round we go into that big stretch that we see cats do, don't we? And then stepping back on that other leg, stretching out at the back, bringing it in, around, into the head, rotate down and back. And there we are. That is the finale of our feline-based sway routine. Let's go into our stretches. So, starting off with our calves. Have your support available even if you don't feel you need it. Have it there, just in case, because this is about getting the most out of the stretches, not about balance. Yeah? Leg that's close to support stays where it is, other leg steps back. Toes come down first and then heel comes down. The toes are pointing in the same direction, and if you're using your support, your hand goes in front of you. So as you bend this front knee and just allow yourself to lean into it, you've got a nice straight line, but what we've also got is the support level with our shoulder. Yeah, that's in standing. In seated, then we're in the front third of the chair, so let's make sure we're in that front third of the chair still. Take the leg out in front, heel down, toes up. We're tall. We ease the heel a little bit more. We bring the toes in towards the shin so we can lengthen down through the back of that calf. That's it, back of the leg. Holding this stretch for around about 12 to 20 seconds. And remember, as always, we feel the lengthening of the muscle, but we shouldn't feel any pain. Then ease out of it, bring the foot back in. Now if you're in standing, take as many steps as you need to turn to face the other side. In seated, we could just extend the other leg out. In standing, step back on that outer leg once you've turned around. Put the foot flat on the floor, so toes first through to the heels. In seated, we're going to ease the heel away. In standing, we're going to bend that front knee and allow ourselves to just lean in towards it, getting that straight line from our head down to our heel. And there we have that stretch, that lengthening into the back of the leg, releasing all that tension, any muscle soreness you might have from gardening, from going for a nice brisk walk, all those sorts of things. Release out, bring the foot back in. Let's go into the back of our thighs. So let's have a look at it in seated firstly. And here it's set up is fairly similar to start off with the heel down, but then we relax the toes down towards the floor. Now we're sitting tall, we've got our hands on this bent leg, but we sit a little bit taller. So although we're sitting there firstly, lift that a little bit taller and then hinge from your hip, and that will bring this lengthening into the back of your thigh. In standing, the motion is exactly the same really. Again, with our support if we need it, we step forward, we're standing tall, lift that a little bit taller, and there's that hinge at the hip to come forward. And again, we feel that lengthening down through the back of the leg. Now, after we've done it for around about 8 or 10 seconds, if you can, take a breath in, and as you breathe out, take it a little bit further. But if it feels comfortable at that, and you feel you've still got that stretch, you can stay there, yeah? If you feel it's starting to ease off though, this just enables us to take it that little bit further. And as we get towards our 20 seconds, unhinge, bring the foot back in, and standing, turn to change the other side, and seated to change the other leg. Take it with the leg forward, that's going to be stretching. We're standing tall, we're sitting tall, we lift that a little bit taller, and there's the hinge. Now in standing, if we're not using the support, we can just have our hands here, or we can put them onto this back leg or onto our hips, but just don't put them onto that front leg. We don't want to put any pressure down through that knee joint. And again, if you feel it easing off, that breath in, and as you breathe out, take it that little bit further. Can you see how it comes a little bit lower? In standing, I'm pushing the bottom away a little bit more. In seated, I'm hinging a little bit further. I'm bringing that lengthening back on. Unhinge, step back in, toe heel, and feel it end. You might want to have a little bit of a pedal through here just to release through those legs. And let's go into our upper body. So chest firstly, our hands come into the small of the back. Now either point your fingers, well, always point your fingers down, but point your palms away or bring them in towards you. Yeah, in seated it's exactly the same, but in seated we might also want to, if you find this more comfortable, if you find that a little uncomfortable, you can place your hands on the chair side behind your bottom. And then the movement for all of us, regardless of where our hands are, shoulders come back, but we mainly lift that chest, keeping the eye line level. So you can see how I start to ease the shoulders back, but then I lift the chest, keeping the eye line level, so we feel this lengthening right across the top here. Holding it there for a few moments, around about the 12, no more than about 20 seconds, and then release out. Having done the top of our chest, we need to do the top of our back. So place one hand inside the other, take it away in front, as if you're hugging a tree, and bring these shoulders forward. It's a bit like we did when we did that stretch in that sway, yeah? So we're opening across the top of the back. Now it's exactly the same in standing. In standing, we just need to make sure we've got that good base of support, yeah? So pushing away. If you feel comfortable with it, then you can bring your eye line down a little bit, so you're looking underneath your hands about 6 foot in front of you. We've got a lengthening across the top of the back, and if we've lowered our head slightly, it's up into our neck. But it is only a slight movement. We're not looking down towards the floor. We literally are just lowering our head slightly. And you should be looking underneath your hands, about there. Yeah? Release out of that, bring the hands back in. Let's have a little roll of those shoulders, and there we are. That is it. We are done. That is our sway and stretch for today, and the end of our sway routine for this week. Thank you very much for Bex for standing in for me a couple of times this week. I'll be back with you tomorrow at 12 o'clock. So I'm with you tomorrow, and then I think I can't do a couple of days. Then I'm back on Thursday, and then I can't do Friday. And then I'm back on Saturday and Sunday. So have a wonderful afternoon, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the tennis if you're still watching the tennis. Enjoy the football if you're watching the football tonight. Stay active, stay movement based. Crowbar, that's what you want to do. Crowbar, perfectly legal, sorry. It's not a crowbar It's just getting extra movements in. Have a great evening. I will see you tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.